story time of how I almost drowned someone's baby. Y'all, I cannot sleep at night because of this. I cannot believe that I did this to someone's child. Let me go ahead and explain myself. So I was babysitting for this one rich family. What's so amazing about it was the fact that the parents were never home. At the same time, I was just a senior in high school. I didn't have much to do after school either. I didn't have hobbies. I didn't play a sport. So I had all the time in the world to babysit for their kid and house sit for them. This baby was only 1 year old. Since the baby was so young, I had to keep eyes on it at all times. They had this big pool area and they said that if I ever wanted to go swimming, I could, and there was a floaty for the baby. One day while I was house sitting and babysitting for them, I went in the pool and I put the baby on the floaty thing. Somehow I forgot that that baby existed. I felt something in the bottom of my feet at the pool. It was like slippery, so I kicked it out the way because I thought it was a toy. And then when I turn around me, I see that the baby is not on the floaty. I look down and I see this tiny human sunk in the water, like for part 2. This is part 2 of how I almost drowned someone's baby. When this was happening, I was on my phone, so I was distracted. I looked down in the pool and I see that the baby is drowning. I don't really know how to explain the way that my heart skipped a beat at this exact moment. Like, my heart was beating regularly and then all of a sudden it skipped 2 beats at a time. Immediately dived down into the pool, took out the baby, but the baby was suffocating. Now listen, I never did CPR, but God blessed me with those skills in that very moment. I was able to keep myself calm and did CPR on the baby and was able to get it to breathe again. Yes, I didn't tell the parents. The baby is fine. I really should have told the parents because what if it did cause a health issue? But from what I've seen, the baby's fine. Yeah, I didn't tell them what happened, but I quit babysitting because I felt guilty. They haven't said anything about their baby dysfunctioning, so the baby is fine. Just because of this, I pulled myself out of babysitting and I'll never babysit ever again because I'm clearly not responsible enough.
You guys, this is why I don't eat mangoes off the tree anymore. Or any fruit off the tree anymore. It sucks because I just want to be able to do that. I just want to go to a tree, see a fruit, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna grab this and eat this. But I can't because of this. So when I was a kid, my family used to visit Dominican Republic a lot. And if we were driving, we would just stop in the middle of the street, park our car, and just go up to any tree if it had fruit on it. But one time we stopped somewhere and we walked for quite a while to reach this gigantic mango tree. It was huge. In fact, the only way to actually reach the mangoes was to grab a stick and to throw it up into the tree so that the mangoes could fall. That was probably the funnest part. Be careful though, you didn't want the mangoes to smash. Now, I don't remember how old I was. It might have been 10 or 11. And I asked my dad, hey, can I do that? And he's like, sure, he gave me a stick. So I start throwing the stick all the way up into the air, a bunch of mangoes fall, and I get so happy. The goal was to catch as many mangoes as we could to take them back home with us. But of course, we decided to start eating them anyway. By the time most of my family was on the 3rd or 4th mango, I had just started my first. And the mangoes in Dominican Republic hit different. I was already well into eating my mango when I look down and I see something. This is part 2 why I don't eat mangoes off the tree anymore. So I was already well into my first mango when I look down and I see a worm. Imagine I had a mouthful of mango and I look and see a worm in my food. And I'm 10, I don't know what to do. I respectfully gave that mango to that worm. That mango belonged to that worm now. I refuse to eat any more mangoes from trees. Yeah, for the rest of that trip. I haven't been offered any mangoes from trees since then, but they require some severe inspection. Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't think so though. It was a small worm, it was a worm. I hope they were happy together. I can just go eat something else, you know?
So I got to school a little late that day, but when I got to my class, I could tell there was a little tension in the air. I didn't know what it was, whether it was a teacher having a problem with a student or a student having a problem with another student. I just knew that the energy was off. So I'm sitting down in class, minding my business per usual. The next thing I see is my teacher try to grab this one boy's phone. He immediately snatches it off his desk before she can grab it. That's when they get into this little tug of war type of thing. But the next thing you know, everybody sees this boy mollywop the teacher in the stomach. She falls and he runs out the classroom. Some kids started laughing and thought it was funny until the teacher wasn't waking up. This is when things get bad, like for part 2. So like I said, this kid punched this teacher and ran out the classroom and the teacher wasn't waking up anymore. So as you can imagine, a room full of drained high school students who just woke up a few hours ago, we were all kind of just like looking around at each other. No one thought to, I don't know, tell somebody that this shit happened. Like, were we silent? Or were we silenced? I blame the school system for making school so early because I feel like once you get to school, your cognitive functions get out the window. So I really try hard not to feel guilty about this, and I try not to blame my other classmates for not doing anything as well. And then eventually, like 5 minutes passed, and then we're like, okay, maybe we should check if she's awake at least. That's when one of the students get up and start to check. Well, they check and they say that she's not breathing. Obviously set something off in our brains, like this is an emergency, something needs to happen now. That's when a bunch of us ran to the office and they called the ambulance, like for part 3. We went to the office and told them how the kid punched the teacher and the teacher wasn't waking up. Immediately, a bunch of staff ran to the class to see where the teacher was and what was going on with her. I didn't personally run to the office. When I say we, I mean my classmates. So I was still in the classroom when all the staff ran in. So they told everybody to exit the classroom and everybody needed to get out of the classroom because they needed to give her some privacy and examine her. So we were all standing outside of my classroom and it was like 30 kids. The teacher that was next door to us was really close to my teacher. They would always talk in the hallways. They had their lunch periods together, their study periods together, and her door was wide open. Why didn't we go in there and tell her what happened? Honestly, like I said, we were high school students. It was really early. So she came out once she saw all of us standing outside in the hallway and she was like, what's going on? Once we told her that a kid punched the teacher and that she passed out, her face drops and she announced that the teacher was pregnant. Mind you, nobody knew this because she hadn't announced it herself yet. This is when they called the ambulance, like for part 3. So now everybody knows that this teacher who is passed out on the floor and is not waking up is pregnant. That's when they decided to call the ambulance. I'm guessing they didn't call the ambulance earlier because they were waiting to see if they could try to get her to wake up. They went ahead and put the whole school on lockdown. Nobody was allowed to leave their class, and me and my classmates went into the teacher's classroom next to us. We were sitting in the classroom for like a couple hours, and throughout these couple of hours, what we were hearing outside of the classroom was complete chaos. There was a bunch of cops, a bunch of cop radios, there was dogs, we heard a bunch of yelling and running, and that's when the announcements go off once again. And that's when they announced that they're looking for that kid and they can't find him anywhere in the school, and they're gonna let the day go back to normal, but if anybody sees him, to report it. At this point, everyone at school already knew what happened because of social media, and once they heard on the announcements that they had permission to look for the kid, lots of kids took that as this is a scavenger hunt. When I say lots of kids, I mean the whole school, like for part 5. But once they announced to report the kid who punched the pregnant teacher in the stomach if we see him throughout the school day, lots of kids took that as find him and bring him to me and started hunting him down. I mean, like, as they should. So anyways, yeah, complete chaos broke out. As soon as that bell rang, child, you would be able to leave school and nobody would notice. Everybody was in the hallways. People were looking under the stairwells. They were checking in the janitor's closet, opening up doors that they shouldn't be opening. And with everybody looking for this kid, we found him pretty fast. We did what the police and police dogs couldn't do. This kid was hiding in the band room under the band instructor's desk. They found him and arrested him on school property. We got word that that teacher did in fact lose her baby, but she was okay and she was alive, but she chose not to work at that school again. But she never came back, and I don't know, I think that kid is still in prison.
This is why you should never eat peanut butter.
So my cousin just had her baby girl, and she was just getting around and learning to be a new mommy. But she was really messy when it came to changing.